Today on Cheap Ass Movie Reviews, we go over A Fistful of Quarters, or The King of Kong. If you're like me, you grew up in the arcades, and when you grew up in the arcades in the 80s, there was so many games coming out, and of course there were no saves, there was none of that, nothing built on anything. You just had one quarter. That's all you had, and that was the best you could do. And back then, games such as Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, all that stuff came out, and you would go to the arcade. And my sisters, I had two older sisters, actually worked in an arcade. And so I would draw posters for the arcade and get free tokens, and then I would go and play games all the time. They could also trick the machine for me, so I didn't have to play. So we never bought like an Atari or anything like that when I was growing up because we didn't need it. We were playing the real deal, so we didn't care. But one of those great classic games was Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong kind of started also where Mario started, and it tells the story of how Mario has to rescue his girlfriend, the princess, from King Kong, or Donkey Kong, I guess it would be. And so he climbs the tower and jumps the barrels and goes up to finally get him. So apparently it's one of the most difficult games to master. I just remember playing it and enjoying it and moving on to the next machine. Now the game that I had two that I was pretty good at, and that was Miss Pac-Man and Galaga. And then I could get pretty far in those. I could play for an hour on Miss Pac-Man, so I enjoyed that. But the thing of it is this is a documentary about the world record holder. You had Billy Mitchell is the world record holder, or was at the time when this film came out in 2007. And it's a film about Steve Wiebe trying to beat his record. And what had happened was Steve Wiebe had a Donkey Kong machine in his house, and he sits and plays and plays and plays until he's trying to get that perfect game. There's actually, at the end of the game, it will just, because it's a computer, just time out. And for absolutely no reason, after so many levels, Mario will just die. And nothing will happen. He'll just die, and it'll start over. And that's like the end of the game. That's the complete end of the game. So at the time, in 2006, I guess, or 2007, whenever this was made, Steve Wiebe was trying to beat that record because he had a machine in his house, and he was playing all the time. Well, he played quite a bit. He's very obsessive about it. And his wife and kids are kind of neglected throughout the thing, which I guess happens to anybody that gets caught up in a profession or caught up trying to reach a goal. And so you kind of see that side of it. But at the same time, you see all these guys that are over the official video games, and you're like, who made these guys in charge anyway? And the answer is nobody. If you watch the film, the answer is nobody. They just kind of took it upon themselves that they are the National Video Games Committee, and they are this and all that stuff. And it kind of started with a Life magazine article, and that's how those guys got together with world records and who held records on each machine and things like that. Then they kind of got to a point to where if you went to this one arcade called Twin Galaxies and you did it there, then that was like one of the official places where they counted it, which is also kind of a scam in my opinion. But anyway, you see them put down Steve Wiebe because he tapes like a perfect game, and he sends them the tape, and they're like, well, we don't accept tapes from guys like you. And you're like, it's really disheartening to watch. But, will Steve Wiebe beat Billy Mitchell's score? And Billy Mitchell is one of the most egotistical people I have ever seen in my entire life. He reminds me of a character that maybe Zoolander would play. He's kind of like that. He's kind of over the guy that had the exercise place in dodgeball. He's that same kind of a guy, and then you can't like him. He's not a likable person. And then he has all these other people that are kind of his little minions that are watching out for him, which is really irritating beyond belief. And you feel so bad for Steve Wiebe as he's going through this, trying to fight these guys to get his record, counted. And so he actually goes to Twin Galaxies and he plays. And that's what this film is about. I'm not going to spoil it for you so you can find out, who is the King of Kong. But I remember when the film came out, it was on G4. I remember them playing it. I remember it getting awards. It didn't come up for the Academy Award, but it was nominated, I think, for Best Documentary. But there was a lot of good documentaries that year, and it was nominated. But it's a fascinating film to watch, and I really enjoyed it. As somebody that grew up in the arcades, I really felt for all the participants. You kind of feel for all of them a little bit. But it's definitely a great film. I picked this one up at a pawn shop and just happened to see it. And I had not ever seen the film. And I thought, man, I'm going to pick that up for a whopping $1. This is Cheap-Ass Movie Review, remember? And anyway, got this great copy of it. Minty fresh DVD almost. The cover, as most pawn shop covers, does look a little rough. But they have this great flip cover on it that it came with that I really do enjoy. I enjoy those when Arrow or anybody else has them. And it's got a great flip cover that's like a double spread of an arcade. I guess Twin Galaxies, that's where most of it takes place. It's got a little damage on the spine, but not nothing crazy. But that's what you get when you pick up stuff at the pawn shop. So it's not that big a deal. But a great film. If you got the time, I would give it 4 out of 5. I mean, I really did enjoy the film. It spoke to me personally because of the arcade thing. Even though Donkey Kong was not my best game, but I was intrigued and wanted to see it. So if you've got a couple hours and you want to see this film, I'm sure it's available that you can check it out online at any of the little distributor places. You can watch it on Prime or you can watch it on anything. But for $1, I picked it up, and I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too. So I'd say 4 out of 5 stars, and I think you'll like it quite a bit. I'm Eric Stafford saying I hope you have a great time watching movies, and also wanted to remind you that I do have merch available now. You can click like and subscribe down here at the bottom, and if you want to hear about more movies, I've got plenty of stuff to review. I had all these Dollar Tree hauls, and the first thing I reviewed is something I got at the pawn shop. It's totally